Hey guys, Sir Alexander here. Hope everyone is doing well. I want to talk to y'all about Comet NEOWISE. I shot it last night, July the 19th, Sunday. And earlier that day, yesterday, I was looking at videos on how to shoot the Comet. And, unfortunately, no one actually broke down how to shoot the Comet. So, if you're an astrophotographer, this video isn't for you. This is for like the newbies, like myself. Last night was my first time shooting night photography, and luckily I was able to pull it off. So I'm just here tonight I'm just here today doing this video to give y'all some advice and maybe some tips that I used last night and what I noticed I could have done. So the first thing you want to do is, me being in the Bay Area, it's a lot of overcast, a lot of fog. So if you're in a similar location, you want to get somewhere where it's a high elevation so you can get above all of that. So I went to La Honda, where it was a elevation. I was up maybe about 2,500 feet or so high. I cleared the fog and everything that was down below, the overcast. I cleared all of that. And I also use an app called Sky Safari. And those two things helped me out. The Sky Safari would use a AR feature that would literally place the location and show you where to look, so you don't have to scramble trying to look or whatnot. Also, you're gonna need a tripod because you're gonna do a long exposure shot. So you're going to need a tripod to keep the camera steady. You're going to need a cable release. If you don't have a cable release, you can put the camera on a 2-second timer. Hit the shutter, move away. The 2 seconds will steady the camera before the shutter goes off. Let's see, I wrote some notes so I won't miss anything. You're not going to be able to focus. I try to focus. You're not going to be able to focus. So just put the lens in manual focus, and I basically just turn the dial to the infinity symbol, and that's what I use for my focus. I tried a couple of shots trying to manually focus, but I'm thinking the infinity focus did better than me trying to manual focus. Let's see. So what I did was I used a 100 to 400 lens, and basically most of my shots were at the 100 end, and the settings that I used, in case you want to know, I did a 6.3 aperture, 20-second exposure at ISO 6400. Looking back, I probably could have tampered with it a lot. I probably could have maybe bumped my ISO down a little bit, or I could have probably bumped my exposure time down a little bit. Also, I always have my white balance in daylight, and I forgot to switch it, but I also shoot in RAW. So for those of you out there that shoot in RAW, you don't have to worry about the white balance. But what I'm gonna say is you can switch in post-processing, which I did. I switched the white balance to Tungsten, and that was perfect. So if you want to kind of avoid all that headache, just go ahead and switch your white balance over to Tungsten, and you will have an accurate view. Let's see. So yeah, so I shot the majority of my shots at 100 millimeters, at the 6.3 like I told you before. Got a couple shots off with it. It was nice. Then I started trying to frame, and I couldn't pull back, so I used the 24 to 105 at, let's see, somehow, luckily, I didn't do it on purpose, but somehow I got it at 35 millimeter when I was adjusting. And the settings I used for that was F4, again 20 seconds, ISO 6400, and like I said, at 35 millimeter distance, and I was pretty impressed with it. Again, you probably could do a lesser ISO. It all depends on your environment, your location, and the elements that you're dealing with. But for me, looking back, and for the location where I was at, I probably could have did a lower ISO, or if not a lower ISO, I probably could have did a lower shutter speed. Let's see, I mentioned the app, mentioned the elevation, and you need a tripod. That's basically about it. Another tip or clue I would give you is the Big Dipper was obvious to see last night, and it's literally below the lowest point on the Big Dipper. It's below that, because I could barely see it. I could barely see it. So I literally aimed the lens towards the Big Dipper, and once I noticed I had the Big Dipper, I kept just inching it down little by little until it came into frame. So you probably could do the same thing. I also had a tree in my foreground that was literally below the Big Dipper. So I used those two reference points until I located the comet. So, you know, do the same. If you can't, you know, a lot of people saying they could see it. For some reason, last night, I could barely see it. So I used those two, between the app telling me that it should be there and those reference points, I was able to pull it off. Towards the end of this video, I'll show you a couple of images that I took, and I'll also show you how it looked before I processed it. So I'll show you the before and after images as well. Other than that, I wanted to hurry up and get this video up. So for those who are thinking about shooting it, you know, here's some tips that'll help you and encourage you to get out there and shoot it, because they say it'll be another 6,800 years before it orbits back around, which is insane. So good luck, and thanks for viewing.